SmackDown starts off with LA Knight. He was cutting a promo. Then you end up getting Jimmy Uso. He comes out. He ends up mentioning, his WrestleMania dreams. Ends up mentioning how his WrestleMania hopes are, fading away, and that the only way to get there is to challenge LA Knight for the U.S. Championship. Then you end up getting Solo on the Bloodline. Solo comes out and ends up saying that Jacob Fatu deserves that opportunity at the U.S. Championship. Then you get not Jimmy, Solo. He ends up calling Jimmy Uso a loser. Jimmy responds back, ends up saying that Solo's a loser due to him losing to Olafala. Solo, of course, didn't take that well, and he ends up jumping LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. This allowed Braun Strowman to come in, even the odds, and the babyfaces end up standing tall. Then Nick Aldis comes out and makes it a six-man tag. Then the six-man tag happened between the Bloodline versus Jimmy, LA Knight, and Braun Strowman, and the babyfaces ended up picking up the victory. But then after the match, you end up getting LA Knight and I think Solo was fighting outside, and then you end up getting Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. Jacob Fatu basically ends up attacking Braun Strowman, hits like a million moonsault. Then he ends up attacking him through the barricade. They end up doing the barricade spot. This match overall, I did not really care for it. I was watching it back like on and off. I was on my phone during this match because I really don't care about this match. But I will say it does add a little bit of importance, mainly due to them adding the U.S. title, which is good because this feud that they're doing with the Bloodline with Braun Strowman, I want it to end, but adding the U.S. title makes it somewhat interesting. It makes it somewhat important because before it had no importance. Now it has a little bit of importance just because of the U.S. title, so hopefully that makes the feud a little bit better. It makes it more important, but I doubt it'll make it more interesting. But it does make it more important, so it would make it more watchable since it does have a title involved. After this, we end up getting Jade. She gets a promo, interview segment. She was getting interviewed by Kathy Kelly, mentioning the attack and all that. And Kathy ends up asking her why did she not say anything earlier about who attacked her. Jade basically ends up saying that she felt like she couldn't trust nobody, and then she ends up saying that once Bianca tag team with Naomi, she felt like Bianca basically forgot about her, and that she felt like Bianca just easily replaced her. Then you get Liv and Raquel. They interrupt. Liv ends up saying that Jade is not the victim. She ends up saying that her and Raquel was being blamed for weeks, and that was unfair. Then Jade ends up mentioning that Liv and Raquel wouldn't even be tag champs if it wasn't for her getting attacked, and that if she was in that match, they would have never won. They go back and forth. This leads into a match that's going to happen next week between Jade and Liv, which I actually am excited about. This, if I'm not mistaken, this is Jade's first match back, so that's that's very good. Especially that Liv Morgan is going to be her first opponent, which is good because Liv Morgan is a great in-ring worker. So that's very good for Jade. I'm hoping to see what improvements are from Jade because I've heard multiple sources what was going on with Jade. One, it was an injury. The other was the performance center. Then it was the other where she was injured, but then she was been cleared for a while. But then at the I heard a lot of stories. I don't know what's true about Jade, but we'll see how the match plays out. The match can go in a bunch of ways. You could just have Liv win. You could have Naomi interfere. You could just have Jade win. So it is very interesting to see how that match ends up playing out. Afterwards, though, we end up getting Cody Rhodes. Not actually, not Cody Rhodes. Charlotte Flair actually happened before this. Charlotte Flair versus B-Fab. I did not care about this match. I like B-Fab a lot, but I just knew that she wasn't beating Charlotte Flair, and I knew something was going to happen eventually. Charlotte Flair wins. She ends up putting her in the figure eight. Then she continues to put her in the figure eight after she tapped out. Then you get Tiffany Stratton. She comes out. They end up brawling. Then they do the thing where, security comes out. They break away from security, brawl again, break away from security, brawl again. I will say this entire thing was terrible. It was very sloppy. It just looked very off. It just looked very off. Like it was just weird. Plus, they did the thing what they typically do, which I don't like it. I don't like it when the men do it either, where they do the thing where they have like 50 security guards and they can't stop two wrestlers. I hate when they do it. I don't mind wrestlers breaking away from security, but when you have as much security as WWE does in these segments, it's a bit ridiculous. I don't like it when men do it, but I especially don't like it when they do it with women. Because, like, bro, there's no way you're telling me that you have 30 security guards and they can't stop two women. It's like, I don't like it when they do it with guys either. Like, I'm cool with them breaking away from, like, four, five, six security guards. But when you're having like 50 security guards in the ring and they can't stop two people, it gets a bit ridiculous. I will say the only thing that was good about this was the ending of the brawl when Tiffany Stratton ended up doing like a swanton off the top of like the Titantron thing, whatever. When she did that, that was dope. But every other part, it just looked very off. It was just extremely off. The punches looked very weak. Like it was just not good. I will say that this is an improvement of what they've been doing. I will say that because just having Charlotte Flair just constantly attacking Tiffany from behind, which is not good. But one thing they need to start doing is just have them have promos. They need to start having promos back and forth. Have them actually have segments, talk trash to each other. One thing I will say is I do not like that Tiffany Stratton is a babyface in this feud. They should have just did heel versus heel because no, there's no reason for Tiffany to be a babyface in this situation. It doesn't even make sense for Tiffany to come out technically because she technically came out to save BFAB even though she was feuding with BFAB due to Michin. So I don't, well, not due to Michin, but it just wouldn't make sense. No, I'm thinking of Chelsea Gray. It just wouldn't make sense for her to save BFAB for no. It just wouldn't make sense, honestly. But you can also make the argument that since she got attacked, that's why she did it. But nonetheless, the feud, I would say this segment made the feud slightly more entertaining, but the overall segment just wasn't working for me. After this, we end up getting Cody Rhodes. He ends up cutting a very short promo. It was supposed to be Miz TV, but he immediately ends up attacking the Miz. And he basically ends up saying that he needs to talk to John Cena, and he's waiting for him. This was great. I enjoyed this. I like what they did here. They didn't have Cody come rant for 10 minutes about the attack. He just kept it short, kept it simple, which I like because since we have no John Cena for the moment, you cannot. Oh, I want them not to overexpose Cody, which was a good. This was good. This was a good way to have him on the show, but don't overexpose him. And plus, there's nothing more to really talk about. There's not much Cody can really say unless he's gonna repeat himself over and over. So this is good. I liked him just immediately attacking Cody, him playing no games, him just being frustrated. I like this. This is the Cody Rhodes I want to see in this feud. Now, I hope they do the same on following weeks where they don't constantly over show. And I don't know when John Cena is gonna make his return, when he's gonna show up. But until then, do not overexpose Cody. So I like what they did here. Then we end up getting Damian versus Shinsuke. This match ended up getting set up in the typical way. You guys know when they do the backstage segments, one person talks, then the other person talks, and then that leads to a match. Towards the end of the match, Drew McIntyre ends up attacking Damian Priest, causing disqualification. And Drew McIntyre basically attacks Damian Priest. He ends up, attacking him outside the ring, throwing him through the barricade, attacking him with steel steps, and then it ends with him hitting a Claymore. I like this. I like the story that they're telling. They're mentioning Drew end up having like a little vignette. He ends up mentioning WrestleMania. He mentioned Clash at the Castle, mentions Money in the Bank. Then he ends up mentioning Elimination Chamber. Damian Priest has constantly screwed Drew McIntyre multiple times. I did not realize how many times that Damian Priest benefited off of Drew McIntyre. I did not really notice that. But it was an overall, this was actually probably one of the best. This was probably the best thing on the show. I'm actually interested in this feud. I know most people are complaining, mainly Drew McIntyre fanboys who can't get over that he's not in an important match. But I actually like this story. I like the narrative that they're telling, and I think this could be a great feud if booked properly. So I hope they continue to book this well. After this, we end up getting Randy Orton versus Carmelo. Randy Orton picks up the victory. I'm not gonna go that depth on the match. Afterwards, though, he tries to shake Carmelo's hand. Carmelo refuses. This allowed Randy Orton to attack Melo after the match. He tries to go for a punt kick, but Kevin Owens ends up making the save and ends up escaping. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. I kind of wish we would have got more Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in this segment, or maybe like a vignette from Kevin Owens, something. I don't know. I just don't see the reasoning for Kevin Owens to really save Carmelo to a degree, outside of him just not wanting Randy to hit the punt kick. So the feud should be interesting, but I kind of wish we would have got something more with this segment overall. After this, we end up getting Gunther. He ends up facing Axel of all people, which was very shocking. He wanted to face someone who was from Spain, so they ended up having his match. The match was really good. Gunther picks up the victory, of course, and then afterwards he ends up choking out Axel, which I don't understand why. The purpose of this was mainly to showcase that Jey Uso doesn't have a chance. I don't know why he choked him out after the match, because if Jay was going to come out to save, I don't get it. To a degree, I understand why they did it, but I feel like it was a bit unnecessary. I feel like him just beating Axiom was fine. Very shocked that they actually had Axiom perform against Gunther of all people. I always felt like if Axiom was going to make it to the main roster, it would be with Nathan Frazier. The fact that they did this was actually very shocking. After this, we end up getting the main event, the Street Profits versus DIY, in a really good tag match where the Street Profits picked up the victory and are your new tag team champions, which is, thank God, is the case. I love DIY, but I'm like, the Street Profits needed this victory. You cannot have them lose this match. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't this like their first match as the new version of them? So they needed this victory. You cannot have them lose this match. It was no ifs, ands, or buts, unless it was some type of interference. But the fact that they won is great. I can't wait to see how this title run plays out. Can't wait to see the stories that they have with the Street Profits winning. So this is great. Overall, this show was very mid. This show was mid. I'm just gonna be honest with you. The crowd made it better, but man, this show was a tough watch. The show was not good. The show was not good at all. It was very boring. 3 hours is way too long for this show, but I hope when they go back to 2 hours, the show is better. Even though to me the 2 hour show was still not that good out of the way. But yeah, the show is not good. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.